Hello everybody, I'm Gabrielle Vinette, host of Cultivating Innovation with Tetra, adaptive tools for the farm and kitchen. This podcast showcases customized solutions for overcoming barriers for people with disabilities. Each episode puts the spotlight on a real-life issue and follows how Tetra responded. Tetra has been building creative solutions and overcoming barriers for over 35 years. This podcast is a collaboration between Ingenium, Canada's Museums of Science and Innovation, the Disability Foundation in Vancouver, and the Tetra Society of North America. For today's episode, I'm joined by Paul Marriage, the co-coordinator for the Ottawa chapter of the Tetra Society of North America. Paul has been co-coordinating since 2015. He was the coordinator for the Ottawa chapter before, but took a break. From then on, Paul handles the project side for the Ottawa chapter. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining me.
It's a pleasure. I'm glad to be part of this.
That's great. So let's start off easy. So what really is the history of how Tetra was founded?
Well, it's a rather unusual start. Many businesses, many nonprofits start out with a mission and then generate action to follow. But with the Tetra Society, the founder, Sam Sullivan, who had a major injury, sort of having to use a wheelchair for after this injury, a group of friends who said, "You can't live in your house unless we help you." So action was taken to help him remain, comfortable, adjust things in his house to overcome some barriers there. So he said, at this point, other people, in my situation could certainly benefit from this. So the mission came out of seeing his friends help him. So for the next 20 years, he put a mission, again, followed with action, where he's established these chapters of Tetra Society across the country, and where other people were gaining the same and different, whatever help they needed.
For sure. And for people who don't really know what Tetra is or have never heard of it, so what is Tetra?
Tetra has its foundation in the idea that people who have disabilities need to remove those barriers, need to have an opportunity to have a better quality of life. So that's the base of Tetra, and the Tetra Society in all chapters is to ensure that we have volunteers in place who work no charge for their labor. They work with clients who come to the Tetra Society with problems they need to overcome, seeking solutions that will give them, the answer to overcoming the barrier. And the Tetra Society matches the client with the volunteer. The big opportunity for people is to obtain the service they need, the results they need, the assistive device that they need without any charge for the construction, and only where possible would they be asked to pay for the materials. So it's strictly, as a nonprofit, we're providing a very open-ended service to our client.
For sure. So how did you become involved with Tetra?
Well, that in itself is an interesting story. I retired from Agriculture Canada in the research scientist and manager field. My wife was looking on the internet and saw an ad for the opportunity for become a coordinator from the Tetra Society, a chapter in Ottawa. So I sent my application in, little brief resume, and that was back in 2015. So it was essentially, for me, an opportunity to contribute post-retirement. It was an opportunity also to sort of give back in a way, because I have a grandson. We have a grandson in Toronto who has arthrogryposis, which is a significant disability, contraction of the joints and weak muscles. And so this was sort of, well, if he's getting help, I can help as well. In 2015, I took over as coordinator and built a staff of volunteers, and also made presentations and attracted clients. And it's grown ever since. So I'm very happy to still be around. I had a break from being a coordinator, and I'm back now as co-coordinator, working only on the project side.
Yes, definitely. Is there somewhere, or how do clients who are interested I want to say, sign up or register to become a client through Tetra?
The easiest, what I usually point people to, is to go on the tetrasociety.org website and fill in the online form, which is very straightforward, and it doesn't require you to have any doctor's recommendation or anything like that. This is open-ended. You just fill your name in, tell, if you wish, the nature of your disability, the problem you're seeking to solve. If you look for a solution, let us know. And then it comes back to the local chapter, wherever the online form came from. And many cases, some people are, the condition of their disability is such that they will ask their occupational therapist or physiotherapist or someone, another professional to fill it in for them.
Mm-hmm. And after they've filled in the form and everything, how long should they expect to get an answer back?
They should hear from, in our case in Ottawa, and I think in most cases, they should, within 72 hours, they should get a note, most likely in this case, almost always from the coordinator saying, yes, we have your request for assistance. We'll be looking at it, may ask you some more questions, may evaluate it, and then we'll link you with a volunteer who we feel is most suitable to meet with you and hear your design plans. And this is very important, is that the client volunteer interaction, because we're designing for them. We're designing for their needs, and an idea that we might think, oh, this is a great one. The client may have different views and they need to be heard. Their input is essential.
For sure. And what is the average timeline from, I want to say, start to finish, from the beginning when they're contacted by the volunteer to, I want to say, the end of the project where they're satisfied with everything?
This, of course, for me, it's a hard one to answer because the timeline varies with the complexity of the project. For example, we have one project that's been at least 2 years now, and is for a gentleman who wants to ride a recumbent bike. This is his goal, and but every slight change, in the structure leads to another slight change in the structure. It has to be tried out, has to get on the road. Oh, this needs to be changed, that needs to be changed. So, but this one is nearing completion, and we're going to have a very satisfied client. But some, could be done, I would say, on an average basis of 2 to 3 months. Some simple. Actually, in some cases, the solution is right there. We just say, well, if we just take this commercial item and make a little tweak in it, it'll work for you. And so that would maybe occur in a month.
That's a good average. And speaking of volunteers, so for those who would like to volunteer their time, how would they pretty much register through Tetra?
Contact with any coordinator, or even with somebody they know who volunteers, would probably help steer them in the right direction. But there is again, on the tetrasociety.org website, there is a place to submit a volunteer application, and that is then handled through the headquarters sort of structure there. And everyone, of course, requires, working in the vulnerable sector, one of the things required is a police check, police certification. And but at the local level, and this occurs sometimes when we're working with universities and with colleges, we can have people sign up, so to speak, at the local level. So when we're doing a project, we then work with the volunteers who are working in the university sector to do it, or a volunteer could come to us locally and either Zara Mohammed, who's after the organizational aspects as co-coordinator, she would get in touch with them, and she has an administrative assistant who would send them the right paperwork. And we would talk to them, interview them, learn their skill sets and experience and interest.
Mm-hmm. Well, just one last one before we let you go. Is there anything that you would like to pretty much say to those who would be listening to this podcast across Canada?
I would suggest that in most cases, if you are facing challenges of disability or challenges related in that fashion for you or members of your family, from my experience now over what must be 7 years, there is usually a solution. It may not be 100%, but it will certainly allow you to progress beyond where you are for more freedom, better life and experience, be able to do more in the areas you want to do more. And I just have to perhaps tell you one story that would illustrate this. We have a client was going to be unable to keep her daughter at home because of significant issues around disabilities. And our volunteers went in and did one thing and did another thing. And just yesterday received a note back saying, "Thank you so much, because my daughter is happy, she is safe, I can look after things at home here with her." So if that's your situation, if you think, "Wow, I won't be able to do this, I won't be able to accomplish this," this is a story that has such a good ending, and I think we can find that ending for most people who contact the Tetra Society.
That's wonderful, and it really brings hope that even if people with disabilities can't do a specific task, like there is hope that like there is people out there who can help them and create a sort of independence for them to be able to achieve that task.
Definitely so. That's the outcome of that is what keeps me engaged and eager to see more progress and more work done by Tetra.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for this. This was amazing.
You're certainly welcome, and it's a pleasure to meet with you and to support the Tetra Society of North America.
Thanks for listening. If you would like to request a device, you can go to the Tetra website at tetrasociety.org under the Solutions tab and click Request Assistance. To become a volunteer in your region, you can go under the Volunteer tab and fill out the volunteer registration form. For more information, or just to check out what we do, you can look for us on Facebook under Tetra Society of North America. Thanks again, and see you next time.